Hello, Professor Mohamed. My name is Ricardo Sebastian Aliaga TEALDO, and I'm going to talk about Brazil trade barriers and the balance of payments accounts. Brazil in global trade. Today, we live in a globalized world where international trade plays a crucial role in economic development. Organizations like the World Trade Organization actively promote the idea that free trade of goods and services leads to greater efficiency and sustainable growth. However, despite the recognized benefits of free trade, many countries like Brazil adopt protectionist policies to regulate their imports and exports. Brazil is a key player in the global economy. Its trade policies have evolved over time, often swinging between openness and protectionism depending on international and domestic circumstances. This presentation analyzes Brazil trade barriers, including both tariffs and non-tariff measurements, their justifications, positive and negative consequences, and their impact of the Brazil economy, especially in the relations to the current account. There are two types of trade barriers. The main type of trade barriers that Brazil uses are divided into tariff and non-tariff categories. Both plays a strategic role in protecting local industries and promoting national development. First, we have tariff barriers. These are taxes applied to imported goods. Brazil applies relatively high tariffs compared to other emerging economies. The purpose is to make foreign products more expensive, so that Brazilians' products remain competitive in the domestic market. Some of the most affected sectors include footwear, textile, and agricultural products. Second, there are import quotas. This limits the amount of specific goods that can be imported, helping avoid market saturations from foreign competitors. Brazil has imposed quotas on a variety of goods, which has sometimes caused tensions with trade partners like the United States and the European Union. The economic impact of the trade barriers. In these sections, let's explore how Brazilian trade barriers have impact on the economy. This effect can be both positive and negative, depending on the sector and global context. Starting with a positive impact, trade barriers have played a role in protecting national industries. For example, the automotive and agricultural sectors have been able to develop without being overrun by foreign competitors. These protections has helped Brazil create local jobs, promote industrial self-sufficiency, and even stimulate the technology development in strategic sectors. By reducing dependence on imports, Brazil is also better prepared to face global crises, such as we saw during the COVID-19 pandemic. Additionally, these policies help maintain a favorable trade balance. Brazil has consistently shown strong performance in exports, especially in commodities like soybeans, oil, and iron. In 2024, the country achieved a trade surplus of $66.2 billion, demonstrating the strength of its exports-driven sectors. However, there are also important negative consequences on major concerns in the loss of competitiveness. When local industries are too protected, they may stop innovating, becoming inefficient, and depending on government support. This affects long-term growth, especially in high-tech and industrialized sectors, where Brazil still lags behind. In the case study, automobile industry. The automotive industry in Brazil is a key example of how trade barriers are used to protect strategic sectors. The government has implemented high import tariffs and tax incentives to encourage local production and reduce the depending of foreign vehicles. Programs like Innovar Auto have supported national and international companies that invest in innovation and manufacturing, helping Brazil become one of the largest producers in Latin America. These policies have created jobs and boosted industrial growth, especially in regions like Sao Paulo. However, protectionism has also made Brazilian cars more expensive and less competitive internationally. This limits exports and forces consumers to pay more for vehicles with fewer technological advancements. In short, while trade barriers help growth in the industry domestically, they also create challenges in terms of global competitiveness. Brazil's current account shows its economy exchanged with the world exports and imports, services and investments. In 2024, it recorded a $57.8 billion deficit, or 2.55% of GDP. Despite a strong trade surplus from commodities, Brazil faced high outflows in services and income, mainly from interest and dividends paid abroad. The country received $71 billion in foreign investments, but issues like low competitiveness and weak infrastructure hurt its current account. A long-term deficit could bring risks like currency instability and vulnerability to global shocks. There are some pros and cons of trade barriers. Talking about the pros, trade barriers help protect local industries, especially new or strategic sectors like the automotive and agricultural industries. They also create jobs by encouraging domestic production and reduce dependency of foreign goods, which support national economic stability. Additionally, they can protect the country from unfair trade practice like dumping. Some cons are that trade barriers often lead to high price for consumer. They can also reduce innovation and competitiveness in local companies. In some cases, they may provoke retaliation from other countries and reduce foreign investments, which can hurt long-term growth. Some recommendations is to improve its trade performance. Brazil should diversify its exports by focusing more on high value added sector like technology and services, reducing its over-reliance on raw commodities, enhancing port infrastructure and simplifying customs procedures would help lower trade costs and make the country more attractive to foreign investors. In addition, investing in innovation and education is key to strengthening competitiveness and achieve sustainable growth. Modernizing trade agreement is also important to ensure access to global markets while still protecting strategic industries. Reducing administrative bureaucracy can boost trade efficiency. And finally, Brazil must maintain a smart balance between protecting local industries and embracing international competitors. In conclusion, Brazil's use of trade barriers has both benefits and drawbacks. While these measurements protect strategic industries, they can also weaken the country's international competitiveness. tariffs and no tariff barriers remain essential tools in Brazil trade policy, but excessive use can slow economic efficiency. These trade barriers impact key indicators such as employment, GDP, and the trade balance. Despite the strong export performance, Brazil still faces challenges in the current account due to service deficit and limited industrial competitiveness. On the positive side, foreign direct investment continues to support the economy, especially in the sectors like energy and agribusiness. Moving forward, Brazil must address its structural trade challenge to reduce vulnerability and ensure long-term economic sustainability. Thank you.